Thank you, Donna. A part of Frances's life that I was never able to share was her career as an instructor at Langara and at SFU. Principally, I think, at Langara when I first met her. I do remember at one time asking if I would be allowed to sit in on one of her classes, and she gave me that look. But others were privileged to be in those classes and to share her teaching role at Langara. Janisse Browning is not able to be with us today, but Katherine Grace is here with a message, if she could step forward.
So I'm Katherine Grace, and I met Frances in 1999. And in 2001, she married my wife, Maria, and I. And one of the greatest gifts that Frances gave me, I think, was to be a friend who was my mother's age and who was a femme lesbian. And it was an honor to be her friend. But I'm here tonight because today because I walked in and Marguerite asked me to do something. And when Marguerite and Frances ask you to do something, you just do it. So I'm reading the words of Janisse Browning. It was the early 1990s. Frances and I both lived in East Van and would often carpool in her burgundy Volvo sedan to work in South Vancouver, then back to our respective homes. Those were good times, sharing our love of the Vancouver landscape as she drove north along Clark Drive until it plummeted down around East 33rd. It was like riding up to the apex of a roller coaster. For 5 years, though for only a single semester, we co-taught at Langara College in the Women's Studies department. Two people couldn't have been more different. Frances went to a private school in Vancouver, Little Flower Academy. I always found it amusing that a woman like Frances would go to a school called the Little Flower. I went to public schools in Canada's Motor City, Windsor, Ontario. She was tall and white. I am not so tall and black. Frances was an out lesbian. I am and have been het. Partly because of our shared commitment to navigate and respect those differences, or maybe despite them, we developed a deep mutual understanding that grew out of our experience of having to develop and deliver a consciousness-raising type introductory course about historical and contemporary women's issues. Although many of our fundamental life experiences were different, we nurtured a friendship rooted in our shared experience of teaching for social change and justice for women. We shared similar goals. We intellectually pushed, prodded, and challenged each other and our students. When I was hired in early 1992, I was the youngest teaching member in the department, under 30, and the only woman of color. Sometimes it was frustrating asserting my place in a space that had been reserved almost exclusively for middle or upper class white feminists. Frances understood that. We grappled hard to share a platform that would help many students, as well as ourselves, find a place to express our dissatisfaction with the injustices of society and search for a roadmap leading to a better world. We knew we had to do this on equal footing, despite the fact that I was also about a foot shorter than Frances. It was a delicate balancing act. In hindsight, I think we did the best we could. There were times when the balance shifted to favor one or the other of us, depending on what issues were being addressed. In spite of the political minefield, we stumbled through each semester with a deeper appreciation of how we could lean on each other as friends and not just colleagues. I still have several postcards that Frances would send from wherever she was to wherever I was, with artistically crafted handwriting in purple ink, celebrating International Women's Day on March 8th. Frances was generous of spirit and refused to take the middle road. She genuinely cared about others, especially the disempowered. Like all of our cohorts in the department, Frances had an important role nurturing the hearts and minds of anyone willing to hear and share stories to improve life for women. We shared our frustration at other people in society's prejudice. We got along, sometimes we even had fun. We marveled at how it can be so hard to be just who we are, to accept and respect difference, to make a better world for future generations. One of the highlights of working with Frances was listening to her seamlessly deliver her introductory talk about becoming a feminist, and hearing her carefully constructed history lesson about the pitfalls and successes of women's organizing in Canada. Now I wish we recorded those lessons. She could recite names, dates, and particulars from memory. She took care to personalize stories, so it felt like you participated in some of the protests, even if you weren't born when they happened. After comparing Frances's wide vision of history with my more contemporary cultural criticisms, I learned to appreciate that we all have stories that can shape and impact the world if we are just brave enough to do our part and articulate whatever that part may be. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to have so many memories of Frances's time on Earth. I cherish those memories dearly. I hope there will be more of a public record to honor the many good deeds Frances has done in her too short lifetime. My heart goes out to her many close friends, her family, and her life partner, Marguerite. We may have lost a warrior, but have gained so much for having known her.